You're nobody.
All right, so we are live. We're recording right now. This is our very first podcast. My name is Crystal. I'm your Crystal Kalina. I'm your host, and I'm here with.
Chris, and I'm the co-host.
And pretty much, we're gonna talk about anything and everything. And you're nobody, we're nobody, and this is the WillettaEffect. Today, as far as our special guest, we have Jose Garcia. He's a great guy. I've known him for a long time. Chris actually.
Is that right?
Chris actually introduced him to me in high school, and he has a great story for us today. So without further ado, let's jump right in.
Do you want to introduce yourself first? Or?
Yeah.
Again? I don't know.
My name's Jose Garcia, and I'm 27 years old, and I live in Phoenix, Arizona.
All right. So I don't know how to introduce it. I mean,
It's okay.
Jose had. Go ahead.
No. It's our first podcast. We make no mistakes. So pretty much, we're here because he has a heartwarming story. It started off, I don't know. It's something that happened to him. How old were you?
I was 23.
And what exactly happened?
So I had renal failure, which is, for those that don't know, is when you have kidney failure. Kidney failure, yes. So it's what happened is both of my kidneys failed. So with that, you have to go through treatments to stay alive, and those treatments are known as dialysis. So if a lot of people don't know what dialysis is when they connect you to a machine, pretty much to clean out your blood and take out all the fluids you consumed, pretty much to stay alive. So you depend on the machine to stay alive.
And how often were these? How often and how long were these sessions?
So I did dialysis. So dialysis was 3 times a week. Each session was in 3 hours. 3 hours.
3 times a week, 3 hours.
3 or 3.5, depending on how strong the dialysis had to be, because it depends on how much fluid you consume. So I would come in and weigh myself, and depending on how much fluid I gained, or how much weight I gained, is how much it's determined how much the length of the dialysis would be.
And you were really restricted to how much fluids.
Yeah. So you see this cup here? I was probably like
A plastic cup.
Oh yeah. So so it had to be maybe like, it was like fluid ounces and maybe like 5 or 6. It was really, really restricted fluid intake. So
Was it 5 or 6 ounces like every 2 hours you could drink?
no, I think it was per day pretty much. Like I had a small
That's
cup.
all you could drink.
Yeah. So
Wow.
per day. So I had like a small cup that they provided me at the dialysis center. They said, hey, try to drink this much water per day. So when I would have dinner, or I would just fill it up and try not to go over that.
So this may be a stupid question, but I don't know if they give you anything else. But are you just constantly thirsty all day long, or?
Well, living in Arizona, it's hot, so the summers were brutal.
Yeah.
So to quench my thirst, what they would recommend is obviously ice. Just ice, or freeze grapes, and then just pretty much.
Before you get deeper into your story, do you remember the day this all happened and they told you, they broke the news to you, and your life changed pretty much?
Yeah. So I never went to regular checkups, because I was always healthy. Yeah. I was always involved in sports and always active, so I never felt sick. And I just started having chest pains, having hard time breathing, and then my ankle started to get really swollen. So those are all
symptoms?
common symptoms of your kidneys not working. Because what your kidneys do, they help you urinate and they clean out your blood. So without that, your lungs would fill up with water. You can't breathe. So that's what happening. My kidneys weren't working. So all the water that I was drinking and whatnot, it just stayed inside.
Did this happen? Was it did you kind of feel some effects? Like, was it like you felt it for like a week, or was it kind of sudden onset of?
No. So this was going on for like a good 3-4 months.
Oh, wow.
But
okay.
It's one of those things where you're like, nah.
Like I'm like, oh, okay, this is gonna be fine. Like it'll just probably like I'll feel better if I take medication or whatever. And I hate hospitals. Like even growing up, I would never, so I never went for a check or anything until I remember it was October 2014 when I was actually on my way to work. But that whole day, my shift started at 2, but that morning I really had chest pains. But it was like I would take painkillers, but it wouldn't go away. So I was on my way to work, and I actually called my brother and I told him, hey, like I need to go to the hospital. Like this really hurts. And even going up the stairs, like you would, I would lose my breath because it's you're going up the stairs. So I had so much water in my lungs that I just couldn't breathe. So that's when they diagnosed me with kidney failure. But it was so bad that when I went to the ER, they put the breathing tube.
No.
Well, the thing that goes in your nose for breathing to help you breathe.
Nasal, like,
Yeah.
breathing tube,
Just to help me with my breathing. But that wasn't helping, so they did the next step, which is like a thing that goes in your mouth, and it pushes oxygen. And still my breathing wasn't getting. So they just decided, we have to go in and pretty much set me up for dialysis. So what they did is they put me to sleep, and then they had to put a tube down my throat to, help with the breathing, yeah, so for better oxygen. And also they put a catheter on my right. Like my right chest. Oh. Yeah. So, and I don't know if I want to say in a coma, but I was.
Were you unconscious?
Unconscious, yeah, for 3 whole days.
3 days. Wow.
Yeah. So when I woke up, I was, had like tubes down my throat.
How did that feel waking up to that? Like, cause you didn't know this happened.
No, I didn't know this. Happened, and just waking up and. My mom at the time, she lived out of state. So when I woke up, she was the first person I saw.
Oh, wow.
So I was kind of like, oh, what is she doing here?
Yeah.
And
that's when you knew, like.
That's when I'm like, okay, it's something serious.
Yeah.
Then the doctor came in and he said, hey, you're going to be on dialysis. But I didn't know what dialysis was. So I was like, okay, well, maybe it's like something I'll be treated at the hospital and I'll be fine.
Yeah.
But again, I had this catheter that was on my chest, and then I would see the nurse would come in and connect me to this machine, and the catheter had 2 tubes, so they would connect 2 hoses on my chest, and then I would see my blood just come out. Yeah. But I didn't think anything of it. I'm like, I'm at the hospital, so this is probably normal.
So you were already. Like going through dialysis?
Yeah, they were like, okay, we have to put you on dialysis in order to get that fluid that was inside. Because otherwise, I think I would have pretty much died.
Yeah.
So, and then I was doing this treatment I would do it Monday, Wednesday. I was in the hospital for 2 weeks. So it was constant, like, they would come in and connect to this machine. So, like, after a while, I'm like, wait, is this something I'm going to have to do for a while? Yeah. And it was, it was 3 hours, but I was in the bed and they had a TV, so I was, I was okay. I didn't know what it was until they told me, okay, so you're gonna have to go off-site to this. There's dialysis centers. You're gonna go to this side, and they're gonna connect you and stuff.
So dialysis is the process that you go through. After all this happens, dialysis is the process that you go through before you get your kidney
Yes.
transplant.
Yeah. So,
And in your case, you said both of them were failing.
both were.
Is that normal, or is it
No.
usually just one?
no, well, it just depends on the situation. Again, I never went to a hospital, and what the doctor said is that my kidneys failed due to high blood pressure. And again, I never went to a hospital, so I didn't even know I had high blood pressure. So that's what they had diagnosed. But like you're asking, it just depends on the situation. Sometimes it's just one kidney, but you can live off just one kidney.
Oh, okay.
So sometimes people they detect it on time, so they are able to take medications to protect the one kidney, and you don't have to go through dialysis. But again, my case was kind of those, like, it was just too.
It was too severe that they needed.
Yeah.
Did the timeline matter? Like, if you would have gone into the
Hospital earlier.
Yeah. They told me,
could've
they're like, if we
prevented
would
it.
have detected this early, we could have done something. We could have done more.
How long? Like if you would have came in.
Maybe they said up to maybe like 6 months earlier that they could have,
But you didn't feel the symptoms 6 months before, did you? Or
Well, I was feeling sick. I was
3-4 months.
Yeah, I was feeling sick. I was feeling tired, and then my my hands would get really tingly, and then I would be like really itchy all the time, which are also effects. Yeah, of kidney failure, because again, your kidneys clean out your blood, and a lot of things is there's some terms I'm gonna say, but like having high phosphorus in your body makes you itch a lot. So again, the kidneys clean out all that bad stuff that we consume. So that's part of some of the symptoms that I had.
So I guess back to the original question. So your symptoms you said were 3-4 months out. So basically, it was if you had regular checkups, it could have been prevented. But by the time you had your symptoms, it didn't. It was too late. Okay. And it was too late for both kidneys, or So
They were both maybe like they said like less than 10% functioning. So it's like it's pretty much. So they did give me some hope and said, we'll do dialysis for some time and see maybe we can bring back those kidneys, but it was never the case. So so I would just, like I said, three times a week for 3.5 hours.
And how long did it last?
So I was on dialysis for a year and a half.
a year and a half.
A year and a half. So what happens during the process of dialysis, you get on a transplant, kidney transplant list. So I was on a kidney transplant, like I said, for a year and a half. Now, dialysis is usually really common for older people. Right. I was the youngest in the dialysis center. It was mostly like older
By
patients.
how much do you think?
Oh no, they're in their 60s, 70s. Okay. It's older, elderly people.
Yeah. And is everyone on dialysis waiting on a kidney, or
yes.
do people just live that? Some of them just.
No, they're waiting on a transplant, but this is a thing they prioritize by age. Oh, okay. So since I was 22 at the time, 22, 23. So I was obviously like on the top of the list. Yeah. So that's why I was only on dialysis for a year and a half. Now some people are on it for 7, 10, 15 years.
And you can live off dialysis for that long?
You can, but it's bad for your heart. It's bad for your heart because the dialysis process, it works your heart so much that you can only... there's some people that go for years, but it's just bad for your hearts.
So in your case, you got really lucky. A year and a half seems like a long time, but when it comes to a situation like yours,
yeah, It wasn't that long. Now you can be on a kidney transplant, or you can see if you can get a transplant from a family member. Now that's usually the best way to go, because you cannot just get a kidney. You have to be compatible when getting a kidney transplant. A lot has to do with the race, so, and then also the same blood type, of course. So there's a lot of things that go into factors, not just, oh, here's a kidney, I'm gonna give it to you. No, like, there's a lot of things that go into fact. That's why they say it's better if a family member can do it. Yeah. And also, you're guaranteed that the kidney would function longer if it's a family member, because you're pretty much the same blood.
It's more compatible. With
yeah.
They're closer again.
Yeah.
So, in this, okay, so you went to the hospital. They broke this news to you.
Yeah.
Now you're on dialysis.
Right.
How was your life affected in that year and a half? Like, financially, emotionally, how?
Yeah.
Who were you living with? Were you on your own?
Yeah. So actually, like, it took a while for it to hit me, but I mean, the change was drastically, and it was instantly, because I lost so much weight when I left the hospital. Because I remember maybe like 150 pounds at the time. Living in the hospital was 120 pounds. So I lost so much weight, and a lot of it was of that water weight.
You said, and that's like in a span of like 3 weeks, you said, or something like that?
Well, in the hospital, I was, 2 weeks. Yeah. So I lost all that water.
30 pounds.
Yeah, so I was really, really, really skinny. I was pretty much all bones. So that, you see a drastic change there. Now, at that time, like I said, my mom lived out of town, or out of state, and I was here in Phoenix with my brother. We had an apartment together. So, again, he was 18, I was 23. So we didn't know what was going to happen.
So he's kind of relying on you.
Yeah. Right. So we only had each other here. So we didn't know what to expect. We didn't know how it was going to happen. We didn't know anything. So we were pretty much scared. So I went to Chicago. That's where my mom lived at the time. And I lived with her for the time. I did maybe like 9 months, 10 months that I was living there. But I had to come back because the high altitude was affecting me. Because my breathing, I wasn't able to. I was having so many like panic attacks. Because again, I think it had to do with me being on dialysis. Yeah. The high altitude.
And how was? I feel like that. You're close to your family, right, with your mom in Chicago. Yeah. But how does that feel? I feel because you never lived in Chicago before, so you didn't know anyone. All right, Jose's from Southern California. Yeah. Most of his life, and then moved to Arizona. Yeah. So you've never lived in Chicago, right. And you kind of going through this where 3 times a week, 3 hours a day, you're doing the same thing. Yeah. And you don't really know anyone. How does that, like, emotionally, I feel like that's got to be tough going through this.
Yeah, because, I left my friends behind and everything that I knew, because I moved here in Phoenix when I was 15, so I pretty much grew up here. So I left everything that I knew here just to go to Chicago, and it's different out there. It's, the snow, you have the colder climate, and all that went into factor. And my mom lives outside of the city, so to even go to the dialysis would be like maybe 45 to an hour of a drive, just because of.
So it's like a 5-hour process, basically.
Pretty much, yeah. On dialysis,
yeah. Make time for 5 hours.
That's what it was. So, and then also had a huge impact, because they try to. You're on dialysis, but you also try to live a normal life. Yeah. So also having a job. So I worked for a fast food restaurant.
How long after the dialysis process did you get back into work?
I wanted to do it like as soon as possible, because I didn't want to be at home. Because being at home just probably is gonna make it worse.
So I get in your head.
Yeah. So the doctor recommended, just have a normal life. That's the best thing you can do. So
sure thing.
So I was like, okay, let's do this. Let's try getting a job. So I did, and I worked for a fast food restaurant. I don't know if I can say the name, probably not. But Again, I did get fired from the job because they didn't want to, work around my dialysis
Yeah, that's
schedule.
what I was wondering. Like, how was
Yeah.
it easy, hard to find a job? I mean,
No, I mean I found the job, but it was just hard to keep it.
Especially in restaurant,
Yeah,
they just
yeah,
want you there all the time.
Yeah, so I was fired maybe like 4 months into the job. So also that also has like a mental.
It discourages.
Yeah, because you're like, okay, well, if I can work because I'm on dialysis, then what can I do? You know. There is a time where there was a time where I did feel like maybe like I felt like a burden. Like it's like, what can I do? I'm just here. I'm pretty much, I would think I'm pretty much dying.
Yeah.
Have to go to this place 3 times a week just to stay alive. So it was kind of, yeah, it did affect me in so many ways.
Did you think maybe at I don't know, like you fell into some sort of depression, or is that too?
Yeah, that's a part of it, and everybody copes differently with depression, and my thing is just to be left alone, and that's even worse.
Yeah.
And now living in Chicago, and I don't have any friends or like to go out and distract myself. I mean, I had my family, and let me tell you, your family is gonna be there no matter what. So, I'm grateful for my family, my brother, and all my siblings, and my mom would sit there through the whole dialysis treatment every time I went for those 3.5 hours. They would sit with me, and I was pretty much in a chair hooked up to a computer and watching TV. And sometimes they would be there just like you, Chris, sitting right next to me. They would be like there the whole. I was never left alone. There was always someone.
So when you fell, I would say, like, if you ever felt your worst, did you ever see anyone to like a therapist or something or a counselor, I should say?
Well, the dialysis centers do have counselors, so you would talk to them and whatnot. So they did help a lot, and they were great people. It's. So that helped me a lot.
Was there ever a time where you were just like, I mean, it was a year, like I said, it might not seem like a lot of time as far as the list goes, but your everyday life, a year and a half is a long time. Did you ever remember vividly maybe a moment where you're just like, I'm done?
I felt like that so many times, and dialysis will drain your body so much after every session, and it's like you ran forever and you're just so tired. And I was just tired of being tired, pretty much. I just felt so, I'm like, I'm done. I can't be feeling like this again. I was really skinny, so all that comes into factor, your physical appearance, your emotional, like you said, the depression. So yeah, a lot of those things come into factor, and yeah, you have those thoughts, but again, I think it was family and the friends back home in Phoenix that
Is there anybody specifically, I don't want to give anybody more credit, but that you remember? I know you mentioned your mom, but I know you're close to your brother, your sister. Was anybody who you're just like,
well,
because you were living with your brother, or did he move with you to Chicago?
Yeah, he actually went with me. So my brother and my mom. I mean, I have a sister and another brother, but Sergio, he's I've always been closest to him because we're only 3-year difference. So he's been like, even to this day we still live together, and he's always been there for me. Yeah. So it was him, my mom, and then also my friends back home, like you guys, Crystal. I had my friend Alex, who was really supportive of me, and just just even I was over there even receiving a text message. It'd be like it'd make you feel better.
Of course.
Yeah.
I think especially going through.
Yeah. So it's kind of like those things where you're not forgotten. Maybe a lot of people. Maybe including you guys didn't know how like severe it was or what I went through, but just knowing that people were still there, messaging and hey, if you need anything, let me know. That meant a lot. Because like I said, not everybody knows what I went through.
Yeah.
And this is something that I never went public about. Not when I was on dialysis, I never went public about it because I didn't want that attention,
Yeah.
and I didn't want like anyone like to feel bad for me. That's pretty much like
I really appreciate that you actually came on here because I've known Jose 14 years, 15 years maybe. 2007, so 12 years. And I've never asked you about it. Like, I didn't even know it was a kidney thing that you went through. I was a little embarrassed. I was like, I really appreciate that you actually opening up about this because in our everyday life, we know you went through it and we know like it was a bad time, right. But I guess we kind of we shy away from it and we don't talk about it. We just kind of.
And again, most of it was because I didn't really on my social media. I didn't post anything. I was never like, oh, I'm going to dialysis, and maybe even like. To tell you the truth, maybe 90% of the people that know me don't know that I was on dialysis or that I even received a kidney transplant. Yeah. It's just my closest friends and my family are the ones that know. Again, only because I didn't want like people to feel bad, feel sorry for me. Because again, you want to live a normal life. Yeah. You know, you don't want to be look different.
No, I got a little bit of that because you and I were roommates.
Yeah, yes.
During this time.
Yeah. So I came back from Chicago.
Towards the end of your dialysis, right?
Yes. So I came back from Chicago, and you took me in.
I witnessed.
Yeah.
Stuff.
So little background there. I lived with Crystal for maybe 3-4 months, maybe a little more after. Because I couldn't live in Chicago because of the high altitude, and so I had to come back, and I continued my dialysis here in Phoenix, and I lived with you.
Yeah. I would watch you, and there were certain things. I mean, when I say not even certain, you were so limited as far as like food wise. You couldn't eat everything, and. You know, I remember I felt so bad because you were just always exhausted. Yeah. It took a toll, truly. And I remember I would walk in and be like, oh, where's Ruben? They'd be like, oh, he's sleeping. Yeah. He's sleeping. But it was, to me, I understood completely, you know.
But, you know, like I said, I was fortunate to get the...
Yeah. I wanted to say, let's get out of this
sadness.
Yeah. And tell us the story of after... Go ahead.
Before we get there, I just wanted to ask, as far as, so you were limited on your fluids, and dialysis was the only way to, you know, get those fluids, like, what I'm trying to get to. Yeah, that regulates the fluids out of your body, because if not, you're stuck with these fluids.
Yeah, that was the only way because I wasn't urinating.
Yeah.
And that's year and a half, that I was on that.
That's crazy.
Not once did I urinate because your kidneys don't work.
Yeah.
So.
And then you had also, like Crystal was saying, with your foods, there was a lot of food that you couldn't eat and you couldn't. And then as far as so you're going through this and physically was there a lot of I'm assuming you're saying you're really tired, so there's a lot of things I'm assuming you couldn't do, like. So as far as like entertaining yourself for a year and a half, like you couldn't have hobbies. Like you used to play soccer in high school, and you used to play basically a lot of sports that you just kind of have a ball in and you're ready to play.
In high school, only ever wearing soccer jerseys.
Yeah, that's because soccer was my passion. So no, you're right, and only because I had the catheter on me, so I was always afraid of getting hurt.
Oh, okay.
You know, maybe like a bad injury or you know just, and also like. Even running or exercising a lot would, you know, I would lose my breath. Yeah. So I would try to limit myself on a lot of those things.
Okay. So now I would like to.
Yeah. Now
to the happier.
Yeah.
The
So
moment you hear, hey, we found a kidney transplant for you. Yeah. You're up next. How does that feel? How does that news after a year and a half of living this way? How does that feel?
Yeah. So that's even a pretty cool story. It's when I came back from Chicago, I was living with Crystal, and I just started working again because after I was let go of the previous job, I wasn't working, so I didn't have much money. So I went back to the job, and I actually, well, I think I can say this, but I worked at a hotel. And my boss, she was really great. She was really great about giving my job back, and hey, I'm gonna work around your dialysis schedule. Like, I want you here. So again, I wasn't financially stable at that time, or just getting by. So when I got my kidney, the kidney transplant call, I didn't have a phone because my phone was disconnected. Yeah, because I didn't have enough money.
Didn't answer. No.
Yeah, no. So that's the thing. When they call you, they only give you 2 hours to respond.
Oh,
Are you
okay. Because there's so many people.
Yeah,
on the list.
because they're like, okay.
So
yeah.
I made that joke, but really.
Wow.
Yeah, so they're like, hey, because you can only keep the kidney fresh for so long. So if you don't answer or by that deadline, they'll go to the next person on the list. So again, my boss, her name is Steph, or is because she's still my boss to this day. But her name's Stephanie, and
Shout out to Stephanie.
Yeah, so Stephanie and Patty, they called me. I didn't answer, so they go through my contacts, emergency contact. So they had my work on there. So they called my work and said, hey, we have a kidney for him, but he's not answering his phone. So this is how great Stephanie and Patty are, that they went to my apartment to knock and say, hey, you have a kidney. But when they went, I'm the kind of person that people knock and I don't open. I don't open the door. And Chris asked because he knows it's true.
Yeah.
So Patty and Stephanie were knocking, and I just peeked a little bit, and again, I work at a hotel, so Stephanie was dressed professionally, in a blazer and a pencil skirt. So my first thought it was Jehovah's Witness. So I'm like, I wasn't gonna answer. As bad as that sounds, but I didn't want to.
It's true though with I don't know about the whole Jehovah's, but I always no. No, but it's funny though. The funny thing with Jose is every time I go to his house, I let him know I'm on my way over there, and he still answers like, "Who the hell's at my door?" And I'm like, "Dude, I literally texted you. I'm here."
So that's
you asked me to pick you.
Yeah. So that's and again, Stephanie and Patty kept knocking. Who the hell was this on my door? So I finally they were knocking for like 5 minutes. So I finally opened, and they're like, "Hey." And I was shocked to see them at my apartment because it's your boss.
Yeah.
You don't expect to see your boss. So Stephanie and Patty say, hey, there's a kidney. You have to go to the hospital now. He's like, I'll take you. Get in the car. So I didn't even I just put on my shoes and, I put on a hat and we just went to the hospital.
Yeah.
And, I was.
Like minutes.
Minutes is right. Maybe 5 minutes and losing that kidney.
Wow.
Because I went and they're like, we were just about to call the next person.
Shout out to Stephanie.
Yeah, so Stephanie and Patty. Yes, so Stephanie and Patty have been a part of this journey and really grateful. And I tell them I owe you guys my life.
That's
because imagine what would have happened if God forbid.
If you worked,
right.
If you worked with a regular boss, I was like, oh.
Yeah, he's not here. Yeah. Right. So. And
then you wouldn't answer your boss. I mean,
exactly. Yeah. But again, I didn't have a phone, so.
Right.
So I got They told me, they were like, okay, we have a kidney. We need to get you prepared. So I called my brother. I called my mom. My brother left work. We were on the hospital, and they prepared you.
Is it like all right, we have this kidney, it's the same day. Come in, we're doing this today type of thing?
Yes, but usually it's that same day. Yeah. But I had to wait overnight or the following morning because...
You gotta prepare or...
That, but usually it's done within hours. But the donor, he also donated his heart. So the heart is the first organ to go as far as a kidney transplant. They wanted... Or a transplant, a heart transplant, the first thing that they want to do. So we had to wait on that. So that's why it was delayed. But they did prep me. They did a lot of blood work and.
So you got it from someone that
passed.
Okay.
And is there Is there a difference as far as is there like when, because you have with kidney failure and then you get a kidney transplant, is there like a lifespan? Does it shorten your lifespan at all?
I think so. I've read that any kind of transplant shortens your lifespan. And I try not to think about that. You know, it's kind of it's kind of those things where I got a second chance at life, so I'm pretty much, you know, living it day by day and enjoying and taking advantage of.
So I guess we won't talk about that part.
yeah. No, but it's a fact, and it's scientifically proven that it does reduce your lifespan, and yeah. But back to the transplant. So they prepped me and did blood work and made sure that the heart is, you know,
everything's compatible with
everything's good, and you're good to go through a surgery, because this surgery was maybe 3-4 hours. Yeah. So, you know, it was I think the morning.
What kind of state of I know obviously shock. Yeah. Yes, initially, but like, can you even put thoughts together at this point?
No, you know, you're just excited. You're just like, but then
like it's over. It's over.
Yes, but then here's the thing: it's not guaranteed that it's gonna work.
Okay.
Because your body can reject the kidney.
What would cause your body to reject it?
Well,
if everything on paper seemed fine.
Yes. So your body, when there's a outside organ, it's gonna attack it immediately. So that's exactly what it is. So they do the kidney, and then they give you medications. So the medication is to protect your kidney from your immune system.
Basically, stop your body from.
Yeah. So that's, I think that's one of the factors that would make the kidney
fail.
Kidney transplant not work. Yes. And then also, again, just since it wasn't a family member, there's also that higher risk. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And also, you know, the surgery going bad for whatever reason, you know. So there's that. So they told me, hey, like, we're gonna do this, but also have in mind that it can go wrong, or your body can reject it.
And was there any fear in that? I'm sure maybe a little bit, but what were you more relieved, or was there any fear in, like, what if this doesn't work?
No, you know, it was more like happiness. You know, like we got this, and I try to be like really optimistic throughout the whole thing. I'm like, let's do this. Like, my mom flew again. She flew from Chicago that night when they told me, because again it didn't happen till the following morning, and the kidney was July 26th of 2016. Yeah. 2016. So
that's why you didn't tell me happy birthday. Okay, I'll forgive you that one.
yeah. So it was July. So they, like I said, they prepped me, and I went into the surgery, and they don't. A lot of people probably don't know this, but they don't take the kidneys, your old kidneys out. What they do, they just
I didn't know that.
they just put the new one. So technically, I have 3 in my body, but only 1 is working. So
where do you know where it is?
Well, I have the.
Of course, the 2 where where they're supposed to be.
Right, but I think it's right below your bladder. Or right next to the bladder is where the other one is. It's where the 3rd kidney is.
Okay, I don't want to sound dumb, but since they're not functioning, they're technically, I don't know, dead?
Yeah.
Do they shrink? Do they stay the same size? Does it...
I don't even know that, no, but I'm sure, I mean, since it's not working, I'm sure, like you said, it might shrink. I don't know.
I did read something that they don't take them out unless there's a chance that they're gonna deteriorate or poison you.
Like a cancer, maybe.
If they catch an infection.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Out. But usually they leave it.
They leave them. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Which I would assume taking it out is also an extra risk. I would assume. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You know, anything taking anything that taking anything out of your body, especially an organ like that, I'm sure it has a risk of its own. But yeah, so that's why I have 3 kidneys.
So now, I mean, you said you don't really you think it's like somewhere.
Yeah, it's on the incision. I have it on the right side of my stomach.
Do you ever like say playing sports now, or just, you know, guys, we roughhouse sometimes, you know, maybe get drunk a little. Do you ever worry that something's gonna hit you, or like do you kind of take more precautions?
Yeah. And again, since I was on dialysis, I was always cautious of it. So I'm still the same way. Nothing has changed. So I don't continue playing soccer or anything. So just for that reason, because again, maybe like a bad hit or something in there. So I don't want to risk anything.
Do you I guess now, like after, how do you feel like as far as your life is now, like going through dialysis, or I guess let's start from the beginning, kind of before you had this issue, how your life was going through dialysis, and then now post-op. How does it feel? Are you kind of closer to how you used to be? Are you really happy again? How does this whole...
I've seen change, but then again, it's one of those things where I know I got a second chance in life, so now I view everything differently than I was before the transplant.
Like there's things you wanted to do before.
Yeah.
You were kind of and now you're like, I'm gonna get it done.
Right.
Just pursue that.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of things like you said that I had kind of like a bucket list.
Yeah.
Things that I'm like, okay, well now that I'm like, I want to do this, I go do it. Yeah. Like even if it's just like, even if it's like sometimes like I just want to sit down or try this new restaurant. I'm like, okay, well I'm gonna try it. You know. Yeah. Those little things that I just sometimes make a list that I want to do, and let's do it.
Do you feel like you're more social too, or no?
No, I think that I'm still the same.
As far as
I'm still
same.
Yeah, same.
Jose is no new friends. So.
Yeah. So I keep I
keep my circle small.
I do, but you know, you have to meet new people here and there, especially most of the new people that
you got like a dose of confidence.
I did. But the thing here's one of the side effects about the transplant is you gain weight. So I went from being like 120, I did gain some weight. So
no,
an X amount.
So now I'm 180.
Okay.
But this is the thing, the doctor said, hey, if you're just pretty much on your ass, you're gonna gain weight.
Yeah.
So they recommend exercising. So I go to the gym. Right now I'm going to the gym.
Yeah. I see your Instagram. I see all those
So
I see all those
so I go to the gym, and back when I was on dialysis, I couldn't run because again I would lose my breath, run out of air. But now I can. So that's one of the things that when I was on dialysis, I wish I could do, and I'm doing it.
So you kind of just like tap your kidney, like good workout, boy.
Hey, there you go. And cardio doing or just running just eases my mind, and it's one of the things that I enjoy. It's a lot of people probably don't like
it's like
it.
One person.
Yeah, that I enjoy.
The only person in here.
I enjoy running, so, but that's one of the things that I'm doing that I was restricted to.
Yeah. Can you, if you're okay with it, can you tell us a story of your donor?
So the donor, we don't know. I didn't get much information. I just know that it was a guy that passed away in a car accident. We don't get much information. Mm-hmm. We do have the option of writing a letter to the family.
Yeah.
No.
Did you?
I did write a letter. However, they didn't respond.
Right.
So
I bet it's kind of I think I can understand.
Yeah.
It's a really sad moment, but it's also good to hear.
Maybe with time, you never know.
Yeah.
It hasn't been that long.
No,
it's been a couple. They say. Well, I'm not saying, but it's gonna take a while for them.
Yeah. Of course. I mean, if you think about it, it's.
And do you by any chance know how old he was?
He had to be like I think in his 20s.
Wow.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they just give you the gender. I think they just give you not even the name. I don't think they even give you the name. They give you the family's address. And then again, you have the option of writing a letter.
Is it common? Do they try to get you someone in your age group? I mean, I would assume they don't try to give you a kidney like at 60 or something.
Yeah, no.
Or someone who's like older.
Yeah, they try to meet like all those. So the age,
there's a lot of requirements.
Yeah, the age and also the race and also the blood type. So yeah. They try just to make it as compatible as they can.
Okay.
But yeah, so I did write a letter, but I never heard back from the family. So, but I'm grateful for it and the gentleman's decision of, being a donor. Those are things that.
Did by any chance, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but you know how you get the opportunity to become a donor? Did you, because of this happened to you, did you go change?
Yes, I'm a donor now. So yeah. So, and then a lot of people don't realize that. I mean, just by signing up and becoming a donor, you can save a life. Yeah. So and after that, like but before that, my mom was against us signing up to become a donor.
I used to be like that too. I used to be like, I don't know, when I die, it's my body, and then I was like,
right.
I'm dead.
I was kind of the opposite. I wanted to be a donor, and then later in life, I'm like, because I'm not a donor, but I was kind of but I want to go into the ground hole, and it's like, yeah, but you don't really know. I mean, like, so I mean, it is a weird thing.
No, I feel you. I was the exact same way, and then I was just like, whatever. I was like, dude, if I'm gonna save somebody's life, I'm gonna be dead. They're gonna make me look pretty regardless when they bury me. So
yeah. So, but yeah, now I'm a donor. I mean, I don't know what they can salvage from my body, but I mean, if they can take whatever they can take to save a life, then go for it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, that's my story on. It's been 3-4 years now since my transplant, and I'm living a normal life. And
do you still think about it, or?
Yeah. You think about it every day because. Again, it's not guaranteed for life.
Oh, right.
You still have to watch what you eat. There's some things that I can't consume. Fluid intake, they tell you drink as much fluid so that you can keep your kidney working.
That's what I read.
Yeah.
That you should drink more.
Yeah. So I mean, I drink a lot of water now.
That's all. When you lived with me, even I was like, does this guy only drink?
Yeah, so it's only water. It's a lot of it. So, from being restricted to drinking water, now I'm like, one of the first things that was on my mind when I received my transplant was like, I'm gonna chug a gallon of water because I can.
Oh yeah.
Because I can.
Because now I can. Because back then I was, again restricted.
What about food? Was there anything that you're like, I'm gonna have this?
Yeah, well, with food.
Well, you're saying you're still limited, but I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, food is like, I'm Mexican, so tacos, Mexican food, so, but now I can't eat or like drink Gatorade or because of the electrolytes, and then also grapefruits, dragon fruits. Queso fresco, which I fucking love. That was the only thing I was bummed out about.
You can't have Gatorade and.
No. I can't. No, because I think because of the electrolytes, and also because I'm going to the gym. Yeah. So protein shakes or anything.
That's why you're small, bro.
Yeah. So it's gonna take me a while. Yeah. So it's but just those things and every day I think about it. I'm like. I always check my ankles. I'm like, okay, are they swollen? Like, I'm serious. Like, I go home and I'm like, okay. Or even I'm at work and I'm like, just touching them just to make sure.
I can only imagine.
Yeah. And even my brother, too. My brothers are like.
Paranoia type thing.
Yeah. My brother's always like, let me see your ankles. And I'm like, oh, and I get like nervous when he asks me. I'm like,
no.
But no, those things you're always, gonna be always kind of like traumatized about.
So one more thing, I want to go back to kind of post-op. How long were you in the hospital for while they monitored that this kidney was still okay?
Yeah.
And if you could touch on that, and then one more thing, you still have to take meds, right? You have medications that you have to take.
Yes.
What is it, indefinitely?
Yeah.
If you don't mind touching on that and why you have to take them.
Yeah. So I was after the kidney transplant. I was in the hospital for I think 10 days.
10 days. Oh, so
that's not too bad. Yeah, but they just want to monitor and make sure that everything is going well. Yeah. So I had a catheter put in.
Oh. Haven't used this in a while.
Yeah. So it was in there because they want to make sure that and I was obviously attached to a bag, so all the urine was. They just want to make sure. So I was urinating without even knowing because you can't feel it with the catheter. So I would just see like a bag of urine.
Oh, I remember seeing it.
Yeah. So.
Oh yeah, we're gonna go
Yeah.
the hospital.
Yeah. So you would see the bag of urine, and that's how you.
Hydrated. No.
That's how you would tell that the kidney was
Kidney's
working.
boy.
Yeah, and after the transplant, I was going to the restroom. I kid you not, like every 30 seconds. I kid you not, like I like every minute or so. Like I would be in the, but that's that's kind of the effect. Is the kidney's working. You haven't urinated in a year, so I was always going to the restroom, and that only happened for like 2 weeks. Where I was that I was constantly working. Yeah, and then I was so eager to go back to work that I called Stephanie. I'm like, hey, they told me you have to be in bed at least 2 months, but I think like within the 6th week, and I was like, can I go to work? And again, Stephanie's like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah. So, but now touching base on the medication, yes, I have to take medication for life, and what that medication does is pretty much the way they explain it is like it puts a shield around your kidney that protects, and also decreases your immune system. It weakens it.
Oh, really?
So it doesn't attack it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I take 4 medications at 8 in the morning, and then 4 medications at 8 at night.
Is it 4 capsules or?
It's 3 caps. It's maybe like a total of 7 capsules. Oh. Yeah. And so right now I'm going for checkups. At first it was a 2-week. I would go to checkups every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Then just depending on how much you're progressing is, then I was going 3 months, and now I'm going every 6 months.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
What's like what checkup on? Is that the max?
Yeah, I mean you want to get checked up as often as possible, but I think 6 months is.
So there's never like you'll be okay.
Yeah.
Come every once a year, every 3 years.
Right, because
every 6 months from here on out.
Yeah, so actually, what's today? So yesterday I actually went to get blood drawn because I do have a checkup on Friday. So they tell you, hey, this is your kidney is.
They do the blood work.
The blood work. Yeah. So your kidney is this, and sometimes they increase or decrease your medication. I've had both, so I've had where they had to. It just
depends.
Yeah. So again, they're like, oh, your levels are a little low, so let's increase the medication, and we'll see you in 6 months.
Yeah.
And then again, I go 6 months. They're like, okay, you're good, so let's decrease it, because you don't want your levels to go too high or too low. Yeah. So they just want to keep it right, because again, it's.
Have you ever missed on a day of your medication?
No, I've not. No, never.
Like, hell no.
And when they decrease or increase, do you feel a difference in your body?
No, you don't feel anything. No, you don't feel no.
No, I definitely haven't missed. Yeah.
No, I would no, I never miss, and I'm always I have my alarm set up, or maybe by 30 minutes, but that's probably like the most. Like I'm like 8:30, like okay, but no, I don't think that's gonna do anything drastically, but no, never miss it. Or even there's times where I've gone to work and I've missed, like I've forgotten my medication, and I'm like, okay, like I don't care if you guys fire me or whatever, but I have to go back. Like I have to go back. Yeah. But yeah, so I'd rather be taking medication than be on dialysis. So
yeah.
No. But let me tell you, that medication is not cheap. So yeah, so I have to pay for that. So and it's like once a month that I have to get it. So
just to wrap it up, if you could describe the way you're feeling now after everything you've been through in one word, what would it be?
I think I would say thankful.
Thankful?
Yeah, I feel, just everything. Again, my family, my friends that were in the journey with me, the donor, Stephanie, Patty, I'm just thankful for everything and everyone that was part of this, and even to this day is still part of it, because I'm not gonna be done with it ever. And it's gonna be something that I'm gonna deal with for the rest of my life. So I think thankful is the word.
Is there anything, if this somehow reaches anyone that might be going through what you're going through? Is there anything you want to kind of say out to anyone or?
Yeah. I mean, if there's anyone that's on dialysis that's listening to this, it might sound cliche, but just hang in there. Just hang in there and take it. What I did, I would take it day by day. Don't discourage yourself, and honestly try to live a normal life, because you can. Don't let those setbacks, put you down, or and most importantly, family is going to be the most important thing that will get you through it. Family, like I say, will be there in the good and the bad. So, and then hopefully you get that call, you get that call, and like I said, family can get you a kidney transplant. That's probably like the best way to go about it. So, and I've heard of so many cases of people getting or giving their family members a kidney, and they live a normal life. Because again, you can survive on one kidney, but yeah, that's.
Well, thank you for coming on.
Well, thank you guys for having me, your first guest.
Yeah. For sure.
So it was a intense subject here, but
a little bit, yeah.
Oh yeah, no, truly, thank you, Ruben. Like, this is so exciting for us, and to have you to be our first guest. It started off as like a sad story, then we're here and now, and that's awesome. Thank you.
And we appreciate you opening up and talking about this. Like you said, I mean, a lot of people don't.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know this, so I don't. This is not something that I do often, but I'm glad of it. I feel good just opening up and talking about it. So, thank you guys for having me here.
Oh, thank you.
If anybody wants to follow Ruben's journey, as far as Jose Garcia, sorry, we call him Ruben because we know him on a personal level. But if you guys want to follow Jose Garcia on Instagram, it is and follow his journey. I mean, like he said, he started off where he wasn't able to do what he loved, which was work out, run, hang out. Now that's all I see. So if you guys want to see what I'm seeing, go follow him on Instagram. It's Junior XIX19. That again, Junior JRXIX19. I'm Crystal Kalina, and
I'm Chris, and this is
TheWillettaEffect. Thank you.
Thanks for listening.
Yay, we did it! Number one.
You're nobody.